I recently acquired a Chromebook mostly out of curiosity because I've heard a lot about them, and I thought it was probably some would be some benefit for me to learn more about them. So it's been described by many people, or these that I know, that it's the ultimate couch computer. So let's say you need a new notebook for everything from gaming and keeping up with social media to doing a little homework here and there. Up until a few years ago, the conventional wisdom suggested that Windows machines are the best laptops. Now, however, Chromebooks have caught up so much that they are viable competitors for many buyers. From size, weight, and security to apps, performance, and battery life, each platform has its advantages and disadvantages. On the other hand, Windows laptops and Chromebooks appear to be getting closer and closer to each other's strengths while reducing their weaknesses. So what is a Chromebook? Chromebooks are lightweight laptops that depend heavily on Google Chrome. While you have OS-specific features like File Manager, App Launcher, Taskbar, and so on, most of your work and play resides within the Chrome tab. This Chrome dependency translates to low overhead, enabling a super fast startup and snappy performance on even the most low-end hardware. In other words, the ultimate couch computer. The core functions of Chromebooks, like all pure Android installs, it focuses on Google services like Gmail, YouTube, Maps, and Docs. You can install web-based Chrome apps from the Chrome Web Store and now Android apps from the Google Play Store. Many require an internet connection, but some can function very well offline. Chromebooks are primarily designed for use while connected to the internet and sign into a Google account. Now, your Google account is your Gmail address and password. That is the key to get in any Google software. So just keep that in mind. So instead of installing traditional applications such as word processing and instant messaging, users add web apps from the Chrome Web Store. Google claims that a multi-layer security architecture eliminates the need for antivirus software. While Chromebooks are designed to be used when connected to the internet, users are able to access Google apps such as Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Keep, Google Drive in an offline mode. Chromebooks also come with a built-in local music player, a photo editor, and a PDF and Microsoft Office document viewer that functions without internet access. Other applications with offline support include the Amazon Cloud Reader, the New York Times app, and the game Angry Birds. Google Play video content is available offline using a Chrome browser extension. So what are the pieces that comprise the basic software on a Chromebook? First, Google Chrome. This is your browser. It allows you to view web pages and performs most tasks for you on your Chromebook. Files. This app allows you to manage your files on your Chromebook, Google Drive account, and any external media you have plugged in. It's very similar to Windows File Explorer. Google Docs is a very feature-rich word processing program. Google Drawings allows you to draw images as well as diagrams with simple shapes. Google Sheets is a full-featured spreadsheets program. Google Slides allows you to create presentations for business. Google Forms, event registration, opinion polls, create and analyze surveys. Google My Maps maps out virtually any trip, complete with stops using Google Maps. Web Store. Accesses to the Google Web Store allows you to browse thousands of apps, themes, and plugins, many of those that are free. And of course, there's the Google Play Store. Your Chromebook can now run Android apps. This gives you access to that store and hundreds of thousands of apps and games, both free and paid for, covering just about every possible interest. The addition of the million of Android apps has dramatically increased the platform's value. Most modern Chromebooks come with the Google Play Store out of the box, which allows you to quickly install most of your favorite Android apps. If your Chromebook was introduced in 2017, it's guaranteed to run most Android apps. If you're not sure if your Chromebook qualifies, Google provides an extensive list that you can check. Google rolls out Android compatibility on a device-by-device basis, so it's a good idea to find your specific model if possible. Stretching the limits, that's what we wanted to discuss, because Chromebooks have their strengths, but they also have their weaknesses. At first glance, the biggest flaw is the inability to install traditional desktop software. For instance, there doesn't appear to be any means to install editing applications like Adobe Photoshop or GIMP. To compensate, there are plenty of Android and Chrome OS apps that can fill the niches typically taken by Windows and other Mac OS desktop apps. If you're a prolific Google product user, all of those services and apps are entwined with Chrome OS. However, the problem lies with those who want and need more than that comes from Chromebook. So we're going to talk about the beauty of Chrome extensions. We all know that Google Chrome is a popular web browser, and if you're looking for something exciting to prove your way of using Chrome, Chrome extensions helps a Chromebook emulate a desktop experience. The Chrome browser is part and parcel of the Chrome OS. Web extensions designed for the browser also work in the OS. Extensions literally extend the capability of your Chromebook. So what I want to do is turning my couch computer into a powerhouse with extensions. And we do that because Chromebook specifications often seem weak compared to their Windows laptop counterparts. That's because they don't need to be super powerful. Chrome OS was never intended to run desktop software or, for that matter, Android apps. Your Chromebook starts new and stays new over time. With automatic updates in the background, your device gets the latest software without interrupting you. There are 3 Chrome extensions that are important to turn your couch computer into a powerhouse. Those are the Google Remote Desktop, the Microsoft Office extensions, and the Real Tab Sync. Now, what you're looking at actually is the Google Remote Desktop. I'm actually using the remote desktop to connect to my desktop computer that has this PowerPoint presentation on it. So it's running, even though I'm running on a Chromebook, it is actually coming from another device. So let's look at the Chrome Remote Desktop. What is it? A Chrome browser extension on your Chromebook, and allows you to remotely connect and control your devices from another location. The app was developed and published by Google. And once you're signed in, you have complete access to the remote computer from your Chromebook. From your Chromebook, you can use the remote computer as if you were sitting in front of it, such as I'm doing today. You can execute and use programs that are not available on your Chromebook, view, manage, and save files, read, write, send emails from that remote computer. In addition to that, you can also install the Microsoft Office extension. And that is the Office browser extension, puts an icon on the Microsoft Edge or Chrome toolbar that gives you direct access to your Office files, whether they are stored online on your computer or not. You get the features of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Sway right in your browser without Office being installed. And as you can see here, here's the little toolbar that will show when you click on the extension. So you click on the Microsoft extension using your Microsoft account. Once signed in, you now have complete access to the full Microsoft Office suite. From your Chromebook, you can use the mobile version, view, manage, and save documents. Documents are saved to OneDrive, making it available for all of your computers on your network. So you can start working on a document on your Chromebook using this Office extension. It's saved to OneDrive. You can later go to another device and pull that same document up and work on it or complete it. Another thing that we can use is what's now been called the Real Tab Sync. And that keeps the same tabs on all your machine. If we're talking about the browser. Tab changes are applied in real time on all your devices, including Chromebooks. The extension watches for tab changes and synchronizes them in real time across your computers that have it enabled. Chrome on Android does not support extensions yet. You need to enable synchronization in the Chrome settings. So how do we use it? You can toggle the synchronization on and off from the extension icon. That's the little green circle with the arrows. The extension works in unison with the Chrome on start settings. If you choose open a new tab, it will start with a new tab and sync the tabs from other computers or a previous session in the background. If you choose continue where I left off, our set of pages will merge them with the sync tabs. Windows and tab positions and size can be individual on each device, as the synchronization only For those that have an interest in photo editing, is it really for Chromebooks? One of the questions that are asked about Chromebooks is, can I use Photoshop? The answer to that is no, at least not the full version you'll find on other platforms. But that doesn't mean you can't do photo editing. And that really is the key here, knowing when you need Photoshop versus when you need something to edit photos. There are some powerful tools available for Chromebooks, perhaps not quite as powerful as Photoshop, but they can get pretty close for most uses. So the photo editing with your Chromebook, the nice thing about photo editing is that it doesn't require an insane amount of horsepower on the computer side. It's pretty easy to run a web browser and let the server handle most of the heavy lifting. As a result, one of the best photo editors for your Chromebook is a toolbar called Plexer Editor. If you're interested in retouching photos, there's cool filters that, like the Plexer, will probably leave you wanting. But there's Polar, which is great for these kinds of tweaks. The interface is different from what you may have come to expect from a photo editor, which is one of the things that makes it really good. It's a very text and premium filters. While once upon a time, Polar offered a pro version for a one-time flat fee, it now costs $23.99 a year or $2.49 a month. Seems like everybody's getting into this subscription business, but still it's an exceptional, well-made app, so it's worth it. Adobe apps to the rescue? Well, maybe. Using the Chrome remote access that we have talked about previously to interface with Adobe apps installed on another device, there is also, that's one way of being able to use it, There are also Android app versions of the Adobe Lightroom, Illustrator, and much more. And of course, one of the big things is that you can watch movies on your Chromebook. You can download your flicks for remote use. You can store movies and show just like you download music files to your Chromebook. With the Google Play Movie and TV Chrome extension installed, click on the launcher, click Play Movies, and under any TV episode or movie in your library, click on the download icon and you're all set. It looks like a down arrow. Using apps such as Skype and Google Assistant, makes Chromebooks like the little computing engine that could. You can hold remote meetings with friends, family, coworkers with Skype and Zoom. Of course, you can use run-of-the-mill standbys like Facebook, YouTube, Netflix, WhatsApp, and all the Google Suite apps like Drive, Calendar, and Gmail on or offline. But you can also rock with Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, yes. Dozens of news and sports apps such as Kindle, Tumblr, Steam, PlayStation Now, Twitch, Mint, PayPal, and thousands of more. Have you always wanted a voice assistant? Well, you're in luck because Chromebook can run the Google Assistant with all the shopping listing, reminder creating, and smart home control that it implies. And it's built right into the operating system. Do you like using shortcuts? You can press Control-Alt+ and simultaneously open a window listing all the keyboard shortcuts divided into 6 categories. You also, if you want to see all your windows and desktops you have open on one screen, you can simply swipe 3 fingers down on your touch screen or trackpad to activate that mode. Virtual desktops, like Windows and Mac OS, Chromebooks have the native ability to create new virtual desktops. This allows you to assign different groups of windows to different desktops, arranging more complicated projects effortlessly without getting them too confused or overloading any single desktop. To do that, you just add a virtual desktop, you just press Shift plus Search and simultaneously, or you can use 3 fingers to swipe down on your touch screen or trackpad. Alternatively, press the Show Windows button or F5. Step 2, tap or click the new desk located in the upper right corner, and you'll see the new desktop listed next to your original desktop in a ribbon running along the top edge of your screen. You can delete a virtual desktop by clicking the X on the desktop thumbnail. And here's an example. At the bottom, you have the 2 screens. At the top, it shows the desktops that are being used. Very similar to Windows. You also can multitask, like Snap Assistant in Windows 10. Chrome OS allows you to snap windows to sides of your display, essentially splitting your screen into 2. You can have a browser open on the left and Google Docs open on the right.
To create a new Google Doc, open the Google Docs app. In the bottom right, click Create to start a new doc or template. To learn more about using Google Docs, click Google Docs Help Center below.
There was a good example of the assistant giving us all kinds of good information. You can have the browser open on the left and the docs open on the right, filling the entire screen. No stacked or floating windows. And there's an example. If you want to do a screenshot, you can work differently on every operating system. You can get frustrating if you are switching to a Chromebook keyboard as it doesn't support the print screen key. But fear not, taking a screenshot is just as easy, just slightly different. Control, switch window, which is F5, and you get the screenshot. So what do I like about Chromebooks? First, the security. Google controls the Chromebook for the Chromebook ecosystem. It keeps a tight grip on security and frequent updates its code based on to stay a step ahead of the hackers. Battery life. Chromebooks are great for people who are on the go who spends a day away from the AC outlet. You can typically get anywhere between 8 and 9 hours of battery life. And the startup time, Chromebooks excel in an ability to start up in a few seconds, making them great for stop-and-go computing that dominates our digital lives. Size and weight. With lower hardware requirements, the typical Chromebook weighs a few ounces lighter and can be a few tenths of an inch thinner than most comparable PC systems. And of course, recycling. Chromebooks have the ability to power wash the system in a few minutes to wipe it clean of your files and bring it back to the way it was when it left the factory. If you like living on the bleeding edge, you can switch between stable, beta, and developing software. You can test the latest features of the Chrome OS by switching to a more experimental software channel. Chrome OS has 3 different software channels. The stable channel, this channel is fully tested by the Chrome OS team and is the best choice to avoid crashes and other problems. It's updated roughly every 2 to 3 weeks with minor changes and every 6 weeks for major changes. So each time you open the lid of your Chromebook, you're going to get a fresh copy of the Chrome OS. Then there's the beta channel to view upcoming changes and improvements with low risk. It's updated roughly every week with major updates coming every 6 weeks, more than a month before the stable channel gets them. You can test the latest features of the OS by switching to a more experimental development channel or devs channel, and it gets updated once or twice a week. While this build is tested, it might have bugs as we want people to see what's new as soon as possible. So what happens when things go wrong? Well, we know Chromebooks are a great budget-friendly laptop. They aren't perfect. Any laptop computer is bound to have flaws. And some of the most common problems faced by Chromebook users can feel difficult or even impossible to solve on your own. From issues with updates to internet connectivity, troubleshooting your common Chromebook problems doesn't have to ruin your day. So here are some easy fixes to the most frequent issues Chromebook users face. Your Chromebook runs really slow. If your Chromebook feels sluggish, your best bet is to just restart and see if the performance issue cleared. If your Chromebook keeps restarting, this is a very serious error that indicates a problem with the OS. If this happens, you need to perform a full recovery, which attempts to save as much data as possible. If you've tried updating your Chromebook with either error, you can resolve this by checking your internet connection. Ideally, you'll want a strong Wi-Fi connection or Ethernet connection. You don't use your data connection for updates, as it's used your monthly allotment often calls for those error messages. So if you have a Chromebook that has a data plan attached to it, then you might want to be sure that you're on the Wi-Fi. If you try to download an important update and it won't work, your attempt to download the same day several times, just try rebooting. If you can't sign into your Chromebook without getting errors, there are many different error messages you can get when signing into a Chromebook. Rather than go through each of them, I suggest that you use the Google Handy walkthrough for dealing with these errors one at a time. Getting a printer to work has always been a huge problem with Chromebooks, and this might be a barrier to success. But you need to the Google Cloud Print to successfully print. It's not a problem for Chromebooks, but the cloud-ready printers are hit and miss. Find a cloud-ready printer for the best results. Bluetooth isn't connecting. First, keep in mind that all Chromebooks include Bluetooth. So check the product specification. If available, the icon appears on the pop-up menu. You click on the system clock. A blue icon means that the Bluetooth component is enabled, while a gray icon shows it's disabled. Click the gray icon if the Bluetooth is disabled. I can't use Word docs on my Chromebook. If you recently switched to a Chromebook and you're having trouble accessing your old documents, there are several workarounds. Google's first suggestion is naturally to use Google Docs. The best option, however, if your Chromebook allows it, is to download the Microsoft Word Android app from Google Play. This app functions just as it does on the Android or the iOS, so you should feel right at home. One of the deals that you probably read, like most software, there's a time when there's what we call the end of life. And that's when a product no longer receives updates. Well, this is also true for Chromebooks. It's inevitable and could be a lot sooner than you think. So what you need to do is to see the Chromebook schedule for the end of life date. According to Google, each Chromebook is guaranteed for a minimum of 5 years of updates after the product's originally release date, not to be confused with the time of purchase. Each 6 weeks during that time, Google provides automatic security and feature updates. So in summary, I love my Chrome OS because it makes great use of Google's services and because there's next to no learning curve. Anyone can pick up a Chromebook and know how to immediately use it because of using the Chrome browser. However, simplicity is the OS's biggest strengths and weaknesses. You can't work comfortably on a Chromebook without leaning on a Windows PC for support, such as I'm doing today. That means that other more pertinent needs in graphics and design, gaming, and web development certainly can't pull off the switch. Nevertheless, I will continue to use unapologetically my Chromebook. I still think it is the ultimate couch computer. Here are some resources that you might want to check out. How to use your Chromebook. There's tips and how-tos. The best Chromebooks available now. The best Chromebook games. Should I buy a Chromebook? Buying guide and advice. Chromebooks versus Windows 10 laptops. What should you buy? Chromebooks versus tablets. Which should you buy? The best Chromebook tips and tricks. So with that, I will take some questions. If Power Wash is used to remove data from the Chromebook for recycling, is there a way to keep it from removing anything from the cloud? That's a good question. And I believe it's only going to take the data off of the Chromebook itself and the data that you have saved to Google Docs and all the other things that's under your account will remain. So that when you go and get a new Chromebook, you sign in with your user ID, your Google account credentials, and you'll be back where you were. It's just going to take the personal data that is have been accumulated on the physical hardware, and I don't know how much that is, but it's very similar to when you go and get a new phone. They'll wipe the phone clean, but then when you go back and put in your credentials, you usually get all your data back. So I would assume that it would work the same way. Someone might have a different question of that. Get back to her. Another one says you don't need a cloud printer anymore. Google has greatly improved printer connectivity. I think that's yes and no. I know I've had some problems with this one, getting it connected to my printers. and I've had to resort to the cloud function on my printer. But my printers are older, so it might have to do with the newer printers. What features would you prefer in buying a new Chromebook? That's a good question. They come, you can get a Chromebook these days anywhere from as little as $200 to as much as $1,100. So there's quite a spectrum of hardware to choose from. But what I think is the recommended amount is that you need a decent amount you need a decent amount of storage, but you don't need a whole bunch. You probably would be very well off with 256 for your hard drive, or in this case, SSD drive. You probably would be to have at least 4 gigs of memory. Screen size can vary, depends on how large of box you want. The one I have is a 13-inch, which I find completely adequate. It might be small for some people, but you can get the screen sizes up to 15-inch. It's just a personal preference. I think most stores, when you go, you'll find the gamut. You'll be able to test drive several different ones that are available, and you can make your choices there. Something I keep touching gets my open tabs to disappear. The only thing I know about your open tabs is that when you are, is that it's like the little X's that are at the end that will make them go away. And sometimes just by running your mouse up there will trigger that for them to close. I'm not sure why that is, but I've had that happen to me. So it's kind of annoying. I don't really have a good answer for that. But what I will do is when I get an opportunity, I will research that and make sure that that's something we include in our responses back. Let's see here. First-time users switching to Chrome, what are the steps to take in order to use MS Excel file on a Chromebook? Does the Chromebook have backwards compatibility spreadsheets that support MS Excel, or is there extension I have to install? How do I do that? It's a good question. You can use one of the Android apps for that would include the Excel file, and it would then save all the data that you have or that you do to the Drive, OneDrive, and the software that's in those portable apps are not any different from the ones from the desktop apps that you get from Microsoft. So they would be backward compatible to the spreadsheet. But the native spreadsheet that's in Chrome is Google Sheets. And as far as I know, they are pretty much compatible to Microsoft Excel. So if you want to use the extension, you just go to the Google Play Store, and it will then just do a search and you'll find it there. Let's see. And someone else wrote, I hear Google Cloud Print is going away. How will that affect us? I don't know the answer to that, but I will find out. I've heard that too. I think someone else alluded to that. Is there a printable list of Chromebook shortcuts, as I'm completely new to using the Chromebook? Well, the shortcut that we told you, you can do a Google search, and of course that will bring up the shortcuts. That's how I found them. And then there's one that's actually built into the operating system when you use that shortcut. Now I've forgotten what it was, but it's I'm sorry, I can't remember, but it's a shortcut that you just hit I believe it was the control key and one of the letters, and it would bring up the help list. But you should be able to find one easily someplace out there just by doing a search. Have you heard about the microphone problems with HP Chromebooks? No, I have not. I can look that up for you as well. We'll have some answers in our responses to the email. What are the limitations of user account versus Chromebook account? Can we date our Chromebook from the user account? You should be able to see it in the portion now on the new updates in About Chromebook, and there is an area down there that says end of life, if I recall, and it'll tell you what the dates are. Yes, the end of life date is important. Google says they're going to keep supporting the lease from 5 to 6 years, but once you get the end of that period, you will no longer receive any updates. Just very similar to what Microsoft when it stops supporting Windows 7 or XP. Can you use Microsoft Office extension in user account? When you put the extension, you have to sign in with your Microsoft account, and then that will give you access to all your documents and things that you might have stored in OneDrive. Oh, someone did say, but use Control plus Alt to see the shortcuts.